Good evening and welcome to Charlestown Live. I'm Kathy Giordano and it's really a pleasure to have you here tonight. As I open every show, I ask you to remember the Harvest on Vine Food Pantry. They're gearing up tonight for their food distribution tomorrow. But I asked Tom McDonald, the director, what is he asking for this week for people to donate? And the big need is breakfast cereal. So if you could drop a box of cereal down at Harvest on the Vine at 49 Vine Street or at the Cooperative Bank at 201 Main Street, that would be so appreciated. In fact, my next show will feature the director of the food pantry and a well-known author, Tom McDonald, on the show, and he'll be talking about preparations for Christmas and also his new book that will be coming out next week. So watch for that. I'm not going to make any more announcements. I want to get right into tonight's show, and let me introduce to you the Commissioner of the Police for the City of Boston, William Evans. Welcome, Commissioner.
Well, thanks for having me on your show.
I'm thrilled you're here. I really am. This is good. How long have you been commissioned now?
Well, 2 years. I started my third year on November 1st. So.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, it goes by pretty quick.
I bet it does, especially in your line of work. I understand you were in Charlestown recently on November 12th. You came over to join us at the Neighborhood Peace Walk?
Well, the officers did. You know, I've been on them all through the summer.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned to you earlier, I had a chance to go to Scotland last week
Yes.
and with other police chiefs to talk about de-escalation and way police departments can handle the use of force better. So I was disappointed. I missed that, but I heard that the police turnout, the community turnout was probably the biggest one we had.
Good.
So,
And it was a rainy night,
yeah,
and the attendance was
well, it's good
great.
because I think, you know, through the summer we did about 40 or 50 of them in some of the, you know, tougher neighborhoods where we've had young kids being shot. And, you know, we walked the neighborhood with the clergy, with the community, my command staff, and we got a lot of outpouring of support.
Good.
And people saying it's nice, you know, to be doing something like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, once we started doing it, I don't know what it was, but the violence seems to have gone down. The shootings went down. So, you know, it created a lot of good karma, believe it or not. And so we continued. Tonight, we did one in Academy Homes.
Good.
So every Thursday, right up till Christmas, we're going to continue to do them. It's a nice way to meet the community.
It is, and it's a nice way for the community to meet their police officers also.
Yeah.
It goes back to when I was young, when we had what we called officer friendly.
Right.
That would walk the beat and get to know everybody. And
Yeah.
That was
Well,
and that goes on to some extent now, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
well, I hope, my goal is to make all 2,185 officer friendlies. And I think,
Yes.
I think we do it better in Boston than anyone, to tell you the truth. I think we work hard at community policing, and I think it shows. You know, with the violence, we have had a pretty good year this year with the violence. You know, last year at this time we had 50 homicides. This year we have 30, which is 30 too many, but we've cut homicides by 40%.
That's great.
And so a lot of good community work, a lot of guns on the street that have been taken off.
Yes, I read the notes.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of guns.
Yeah, I think over close to 630 this year, crime guns. Last year over 1,000. And today, Mayor Walsh hosted a gun summit at, you know, over in Roxbury, Dorchester line. And he had mayors, electeds, as well as police chiefs from all over New England.
Wonderful.
And for 4 hours, we brainstormed on ways we can stop guns coming in from different states. You know, Massachusetts, we have some real strict gun laws, but unfortunately, New Hampshire, Maine, where, you know, you have a lot of supporters of the right to carry, and their laws aren't. We're seeing a lot of guns come in from those states. And so as much as we try to get them off the street, unfortunately, there's a ready supply coming in from outside the state.
So it's easy for a young kid to get a gun, and then, well, we have tough laws, so how do they get the gun?
Well, again, someone might go up to New Hampshire or Maine and get someone to buy a gun for them who legitimately can. And, you know, there's a lot of sneaky ways that kids can easily get their
Yeah.
hands on guns. Again, we have some real, probably one of the strictest gun states.
Good.
But unfortunately, if you can go down south, whether you go to the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, and you can probably go into the closest Walmart, buy them, and you can bring them back. And same goes, unfortunately, for some New England states. I know Maine just passed a law where you don't even need a license to carry a gun anymore. So,
goodness.
I think the problem is, we have the inner cities and
Yes.
where we have the bounds. They don't, so they don't really see the harm
Right.
that all these guns can cause. And we've seen too many tragedies, especially over my last 2 years. I know it's a main priority for Mayor Walsh. I think he made a strong statement today, bringing all these mayors from all over New England, all the police chiefs, that we got to work together, brainstorm to stop the endless flow of guns, especially into our city.
Oh, I wish you so much luck with that.
No, thank you.
I forgot to mention that this is a live call-in show, so please give us a call. Have any questions or concerns you'd want to talk to the commissioner about? It's 617-708-3290. Thank you for letting me take that break. Now, Charlestown, the crime rate has gone down.
Yeah.
As across the city,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. Let me ask you this. Do you have any update on the murder case of Ryan Morrissey?
Well, obviously we locked up the individuals who are responsible. That was a terrible tragedy.
Yes.
A senseless tragedy of a kid who was doing the right thing.
Yes.
He was involved in sports. He was getting a good education.
Yes.
And, I know that broke a lot of our hearts.
It did.
Because I think there was some mistaken identity, and they were looking for one kid and they got the other. But, that has, the people responsible, our detectives did a great job. Homicide
Yes,
did a great,
did. Yes.
and he's currently in custody awaiting trial.
Good.
So hopefully, the verdict, when that the trial comes, we'll get a good verdict on that.
hope we
But
do.
I still feel for his parents. I remember going to
Wonderful
the
people.
wake, and you don't know what it is to lose a child, and we still, again, every victim of a homicide, we feel for the family.
Absolutely.
No matter what neighborhood,
Right.
that's someone's child.
That's right.
You brought them up, and it breaks your heart, and that's the tough
certainly
part
does.
of our job,
It
dealing
has
with
to be.
those tragedies.
It has to be, especially when there's a young person involved.
Yeah, I remember last year when I was newly appointed by Mayor Walsh, when me and Mayor Walsh had to go over to Morton Street, and I still remember it like it was yesterday, and seeing a 9-year-old be shot by his 14-year-old brother playing with a gun.
That case, yeah.
Yeah, and I was over there when they wheeled them by me, and having young children myself, who have grown up, I can't imagine what that does to their mother.
It's a double tragedy
Yeah,
because one child is gone and the other one.
Yeah, but it goes to what we're trying to do with
Yes.
gun buybacks and
Yeah.
all the programs that sometimes people say, they don't make a difference. They all make a difference.
Every gun
because
off the street has got to make
exactly.
a difference. Yeah.
Any gun that's laying around in someone's house is a tragedy just waiting to happen.
Right,
So.
right. So true. So you recently launched a new Search for Justice social media video campaign. What is this all about?
Well, it's again to try to let the families know that we never forget a loved one who was killed in a senseless homicide.
Yeah.
Recently, there's been a lot of publicity about our unsolved homicides, and you sort of implied that, we forget about victims.
Right.
That's so far from the truth. Our homicide detectives do a super job staying in constant contact with these families. We have barbecues with them. We have Christmas parties and where their kids get presents.
Wonderful.
We have victim advocates who work with these families. So, we have a very active cold case squad that continually is focusing on cases that have gone solved. So the whole purpose of this is to put out there and sort of jar someone's memory about a homicide.
Right.
And we hope to do one a month where we try to encourage the public, no matter how little that bit of information is, please come forward. For the most part, our homicide detectives have a good idea on who commits these.
I bet.
All we need is that little bit of information because we can't charge on, we think we know who it is. We need that little tip or that little bit of information that will let us get enough information to indict that person and bring some satisfaction to the family. So the whole purpose of this is to try to solve these cases, but more importantly, to try to solve for the families that mystery of who killed their loved one.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
I wish you luck with that. Now, there is a heightened visibility of police across the city. Do you intend to increase that? Will you go to walking beats or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, since the terrible tragedy in Paris, I think we all have become a lot more fearful. I think since our Boston bombing, since 9/11, it's terrible that we have to live like this.
Yes.
Honestly, you know, terrorism is a terrible thing. It creates fear. But, you know, after the Marathon bombing, we realized how resilient the city is, how prepared we are. But because of the recent threats, we've put increased visibility out there. You know, around, if you're coming out of South Station, North Station, if you're down in the Back Bay, we have extra bicycle patrols out there. We have extra tactical cars riding around the city. So heaven forbid we have to respond to a call like that. You know, we'll be ready. And you know, New York, I know their threat level has gone up after ISIS had a video produced showing they're going to target them. But, you know, it's a sad day when people have to live in fear. And so, but we do our best to increase the visibility, to have our officers out, just so people have a sense of security. You know, we have a lot of special events coming up.
You do.
And we'll see increased visibility around there. You know, we have the tree lighting in Quincy Market this weekend. We have the BC playing Notre Dame at Fenway Park on Saturday. We have a hurling game at Fenway Park. So with that, you know, people shouldn't be fearful to come into the city. You know, we have plenty of resources out there, and they should know there's no threat out there for anyone to fear coming into the city.
I know that 9/11, I believe it started, the slogan, if you see something, say something. Now, if say I was walking down the street and I saw something, I'd go, boy, I wonder. And I'd be fearful to call in, say, they'll think I'm a nut. But what, can you tell us, what would we see, perhaps, or?
Well, I think the biggest thing, we continue to get a lot of calls, and I encourage people to call, is an abandoned backpack. You know, just standing there that doesn't look right. You know, if you think someone dropped it there, or you've seen someone, and it could be around some infrastructure that could cause some, you know, something like that, you got to give us a call.
Right.
We never mind coming and check them out. We have plenty of technical units out there. The bomb squad will come and check it out. So I always say to people, if you see something suspicious, whether it's suspicious activity in people's movement, or it's a backpack, or anything that doesn't look right, just pick up the call and the phone and hit 911, and we'll come and make sure your suspicions don't pan out, you know. But I always say to the public, no matter what it is, you're not bothering us. That's what.
Good to know.
That's what we're there for.
Good to know.
And so even loud party calls and everything else, people always say, I hate to bother you guys and girls, but you know what? That's what our job is.
And you do a good job.
Yeah.
You do a good job.
I got a great department.
Yes,
you know,
you
they work
do.
hard. I don't think anyone does a better job at community police. And I know President Obama recently named us one of the top 10 in community policing, and you know, I'm proud of the work they do. You know, last night I was at a program, Medicine Wheel, in South Boston, where we had some kids from the neighborhood who, you know, might have had some difficulty, and we spent hours with them talking, and it's sort of neat. We take pictures together, but then we put our hand in a mixture that creates a hand clay like statue.
Oh, wow.
And then we put them together, and it signifies the police and the community and the youth working together. It's very positive, and that's the type of stuff we do. It sort of solidifies the relationship between the police and the young kids, where we have so many issues.
And that's where it should start.
Right, and so we do that. We have ice cream truck, which, you know, people say, you know, policemen driving ice cream trucks and giving out hoodsies. But that's how far we've come in policing, because that's the way we can one-on-one meet these little kids in the community, so they don't think we're the bad guys. And unfortunately, they're hearing a lot out there that the police is their enemy.
Yes.
And that's the furthest from the truth. They shouldn't be fearing the police. We're there to make sure they're safe.
Yeah. I'm getting directions from the studio. Oh, here we go. There you are, Commissioner, with your putting your hand in.
That was last night. And you put your hand in there, and you keep it in there for like 10 minutes, and then they break the cylinder, and then your hand comes out as like a statue, and then it's sort of neat. Then they'll knock. There's some kids over here to the right, like these kids.
Yeah.
And we join hands, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is great.
It's powerful.
It is powerful.
It signifies, and that's one of our officers, Janine Busby. She does a great job. And see the clay statues that they make? So I had about 11 of my officers there with myself, and we spent a couple hours interacting with the kids. A lot of fun. That's the fun part of my job.
That is fun.
Yeah.
But it's meaningful.
Yeah. Symbolic,
really,
too.
Yes, that is great.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that had to be a fun event for you.
Oh, it is, and I love that part. Like today, myself and the mayor were at the Croc Center, where our officers from the Roxbury Police Station put on, with the help of the Salvation Army, a Thanksgiving dinner for about 200 to 300 elderly residents from Roxbury. Me and the mayor were there, and you know, those are the events that we really like to do. And with Thanksgiving coming, I know on Tuesday we'll be at the Fleet Center feeding the homeless, and so that's the part that when you wake up in the morning that you like to do, not responding, you know, to the tragedies that we see, whether it's a young kid getting shot and domestic violence. We see so many bad things.
You must.
This is the fun part of the job.
How do you do it, Commissioner? I mean, you've been on the job for what you said, 35, 37
35 years,
You've come up to the ranks.
Yeah.
And I know the city is so grateful that you're someone who knows the job. But how do you do it day to day? How do you cope with that, go home and just be Bill Evans?
Well, first of all, obviously I got a very understanding wife.
Good.
You know what I mean? Who knows, you know, what comes with the job. You know, we've been married, you know, I should know, but I think it's 27, 28 years. And I
Bring home flowers tonight. Okay.
I got a daughter, you know, 25, a son 22 and 17. And unfortunately, our job pulls us away quite a bit. So it's important to have an understanding wife that when you see these tragedies, you can go home and be able to talk to them, at least to my wife, about it. You can't have, you know, sometimes you got to talk about things, whether it was after the marathon bombing and some of the things we've seen. But I think also, besides that, I always say what's key for me is I love to run. You know, and that's my stress.
Well, you were
really.
In the marathon the day of the bombing, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I've, you know, every morning I'm up at, you know, out the door by 4:45 running, and you know that's my medicine. That no matter what challenge I have that day, I think as long as I get my run in, get my head sort of clear, I think I do the running more for the mental part than the physical part. So that, you know, it's important, and I try to let my officers know, you know, they got to be out there, they got to be exercising, because we see too many tragedies, and nobody should have to live with that without some type of relief.
Absolutely. Just got the 4-minute warning.
Okay.
So, is there anything you would like to talk about?
Yeah, you know, obviously what I like to talk about is, you know, I think our men and women have worked very hard this year under some real difficult conditions. You know, we had the 10 feet of snow back in February, that they rose to the occasion. They were all in work, driving medical people and driving anyone around. And then after that, you know, we had Officer Monahan shot on Humboldt Ave, and you know, that was a tragedy. And then we had a terrorist suspect, you know. And throughout this, you know, across the nation, there was a lot of negativity towards police officers, and my officers never let that get them down.
Oh, I'm glad
you know,
to hear
they've
that.
worked hard, and I hear a lot of stories about cops slowing down because what's happened. My officers, I'm proud of them. they stepped it up.
Great.
They work harder than ever with the community. I think we're seeing the results. Most cities are seeing an increase in violence. We're seeing all our violent crime go the opposite way.
That's wonderful.
And so, you know, I just want to commend them for their efforts. And I always say they're making me look pretty good. So that's the most important thing. It's hard to make me look good, but they're making me look good.
That
so.
is great.
Yeah.
Now, before we leave, when the mayor was on a month ago, he said that he announced that it was still open, but it's closed now, November 1st. People to apply for the cadet program. Has that started yet?
No, we just had the exam last week. We had about 350 candidates
Wonderful.
take it. We'll be hiring 40 of them in April. And, you know, it's our way to get a lot of city kids. There's a 5-year residency requirement, so we're hoping to grab kids, especially from some of the minority neighborhoods and throughout the city. So the kids coming on the job represent the culture of this great city.
That's
so
great.
I commend Mayor Walsh. You know, his focus is on diversifying this department and getting city kids good jobs and keep them out of trouble. And I'm really looking forward, because I started as a cadet
The mayor said that.
35 years ago. It was a great program, and I was able to go through college while doing it.
Wow.
And then, you know, it's like an apprenticeship program to see, is this what I really want to do? And I just want to thank him for getting this going, and I look forward to a lot of young kids in the program.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So that will be starting up in the spring.
April 1st, we're hoping to
Oh,
get
good,
it going. Yeah.
good. That is great.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, we're running out of time here, and I really appreciate you coming on. And
No.
I hope that you will come back and talk
No,
with us in the
no,
future.
I love to come on. I'm a city kid. I always had good memories of Charlestown. Well, you know,
It's a
it's
great
changed.
place. It's changed drastically.
Yeah.
But I live with my memories of
Right.
the old Charlestown, and
townies.
best place in the world.
Yeah,
You know, we
no.
call it God's country, but I know South Boston thinks they're God's country too. So
We
I'll
are
let
God's
you have.
country.
You
I don't
are.
think we are. We are. And I always joke with the mayor, because he thinks Dorchester's God's country. Where you live, you think it's God's country.
Oh, I
The
know.
city of Boston's God's
It
country.
certainly is,
We'll leave
and
it at
that proves it. That proves it,
Right, right.
Well, good. I hope to have you back on. I'm
No.
sorry we didn't get any phone calls.
Oh, that's all right.
But I hope that's because people are watching and listening to every word.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's
it's
always
been a
nice to come
pleasure.
on, especially when we have city people,
Yes.
concerned about what's going on in their neighborhoods.
Yeah, and people are. And
Yeah.
that's why this show is called Charlestown and Beyond.
Yeah.
Because I hope it hits every
Every
neighborhood.
neighborhood.
Because
Yeah.
Boston's a small community when you really think of it. We're
Yeah.
all alike.
Yeah.
You know, we just have different places that we live, that's
Right,
all.
right.
You know?
Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. It
All
was a
right.
joy.
Yeah,
It was a
thank you.
joy. So let me wrap up for this show. I'm just so excited that the Commissioner could fit this into his schedule. And I want to wish you, Commissioner, and your family, and all the men and women of the Boston Police Department, the Boston Fire Department, and the Emergency Services Department a very happy Thanksgiving. And to all of you out there watching, you and your family. And remember, until we meet again, take care of each other. Good night.
Good.